Welcome back to our most ambitious homebrew series to date. Last week we visited the amazing Square Root Soda to learn all about how they make their cola. Why? Because we're brewing not one but two sour beers designed to recreate the delicious shandy we invented at Bigfoot Festival that tasted exactly like liquid fizzy cola sweets. Last episode we came up with a recipe for a simple kettle sour that we'll be hopping with mountains of lemony lemondrop and limey motueka hops. But as we'll see this week, nothing is simple, especially since I got overexcited and also promised to make a cherry sour using Lallemand's new Philly sour yeast. That means 2 mashes, 2 boils, and probably more than 2 pints in the process. So it is finally brew day, and it's a brew day with more firsts than Cambridge. So yeah, so many new things are going to be attempted in this brew to get this shandy right and recreate that amazing flavour that we got on that stage many months ago now. Should we talk through those first before, I think we're still coming up to temperature on the mash water. So it's the first time I've ever added this amount of wheat malt, which means it's the first time that I've ever had to use this, which is rice hulls, which will hopefully stop a stuck sparge, because basically wheat turns to dough when you mash it. It's the first time I'll ever have used lemondrop hops. I hear they're delicious. I've had some lovely beers with them, and I'm excited to see what they smell like when I crack this open. It's the first time I've ever added fruit puree to anything, and we'll be talking about these later. These don't go in until mid-fermentation. And then, of course, we get to the sour element of this beer, and it's the first time that I've ever used a pH meter since school. I think I always use litmus anyway, but I've bought myself a little fancy pen. And then of course it's the first time that I've ever used either of these things. So our sour yeast, and then our Helveticus pitch, which is a lactic culture that's going to sour our beer over the next couple of days. Of course, the main first is the fact that there's going to be 2 brews today, or 1.5 brews. So the first one is just going to be basically like a normal brew, into which I'll pitch this instead of my usual brewer's yeast. The second brew is a half brew, so we'll do the mash and then we'll boil it for 5 minutes and then leave it for a couple of days and let this do its magic. So we'll be getting into how that's going to work very soon as well. But I've got 2 mashes and 1 and a bit boils to do, so I better get on with it. That's going to beep at me any second. So let's start by making our cherry sour with the Lallemand Philly sour yeast. Okay, so first mash of the day is done. Not quite on time. I like to get this off quite early, as soon as it's stopped dripping lots. I get it into a bucket and that can collect the rest of the residue. I can add that to the boil. But getting it off early means I can first work hop, which we talked in a video up here in our homebrew tips just about how that can help prevent the boil over and might impart a smoother bitterness. Jury's out, who knows, but it's a little bit safer. So off this comes into a brew bucket. Let's get some hops in. So here's a pathetic 5 grams of Magnum. I just want a little bit of bitterness, a little bit of hopping. 1, to keep other bugs at bay while the lactic is kicking in, and 2, to try and help that kind of zesty, fresh, zingy kind of feel that's going to help that shandy really pop. So that's going in. It's currently at 76 degrees. Deeply unsatisfying. Okay, so we're coming towards the end of the boil. I've sanitised my Grainfather conical. I've got everything else in here sanitising as well. I've got my hops ready to go in. So in here is 25 grams of lemondrop and 25 grams of motueka. That's all I'm going to add. That's all the hops other than that 5 gram Magnum edition. Yeah, lemony, both of them. Hope some lime comes out further down the line. But I'm not expecting huge amounts from the hops. They're just going in at flame out. They're just there to ensure no infection and maybe add a little bit of zest. We'll see. A little bit of pop to that shandy. The main thing is going to be this beautiful thing. It's going to play like a normal yeast, except it's going to produce that lactic acid that I need, that acidity, at the same time as producing alcohol. It's pretty unbelievable when you think about it. So that's going to go in here to sanitize the packet while we come to the end of the boil. I've got my hot liquor tank on ready for my next brew. That's what's kicking off now. You can probably hear it. And I think that once I've got the mash in of this second brew, it's definitely time for a beer, and it's a special beer. Okay, can't believe I'm saying it, but that's the first brew done. I've transferred it across. It's at mid-20s, which is where it's probably best for the Philly sour yeast, which I'm about to pitch. After I've done that, I've got to quickly clean the trub out of the grain father. This is the first time where I thought it might be nice actually to have a 2-vessel system, but I'm not complaining, love the grain father. So I'm going to clean that up, get the next mash in, get all this stuff out of the way, and then it's probably beer time. I mean, it's been beer time for a long time, hasn't it, Jonny? Let's be honest, but the life of a YouTuber never ends, you know. What a world. I haven't even started cleaning yet. Got to clean the bloody whole thing next. Okay. I'll see you in about 4 days for some cherry. And I'm talking to myself. This isn't even for the camera, which definitely means beer time. Okay, here we go. 400 grams of rice husks, 2 kilograms of wheat, and 2 kilograms of Pilsner malt, and it's going into the mash tun. Anybody getting a real sense of deja vu? So this mash exactly the same as the last, same ingredients, same timing, same temperatures. Nothing changes until we get to the boil, because, well, there isn't one. What's I gonna do? Oh yeah, gonna have a beer. Well, I was about to say that's a long day. The day's not over yet, but I do have a beer in my hand, which is very exciting. In fact, our Friday 5 PM podcast will have just gone live, because it's 5:15 now, and I'm wearing an appropriate t-shirt as well, because I've poured myself a snit, which is a glass of half head, half beer, for a smooth, creamy feel. And this is a very, very special beer. This is Sunshine State of Mind. This is a beer that I brewed in collaboration with Lost and Grounded, one of the best lager breweries in the country, to celebrate the release of my new book. We've brewed 4 beers. I say we, I've brewed 4 beers with 4 different breweries representing each of the seasons. And this beauty is summer. And it is summer now. We're brewing a shandy. I'm wearing my snit t-shirt, drinking a snit, and I may have blown through a plug today and wrestled with an outdoor tap, but it's all been worth it, because I'm excited, I'm hitting my numbers, we've got a great concept, and I've got a beer in my hands, but nothing else matters. Okay, so the second mash is on, which gives us a chance to talk about what's about to happen, and to think about the fact that I've not only had one, but 2 beers now, and I'm about to learn A, a new process, and B, a new bit of equipment. So basically all I have to do is get this mash going, get it done, get the conversion I need, and then I'm going to boil it for 5 minutes. That's it. All that's going to do is kill any potential bugs that have come in on the mash, or come in just before I pitch this. And this is Helveticus. So this is a strain of lactobacillus, basically the bacteria that you use in it to get a sour yogurt, to get a Greek yogurt. And I'm going to pitch this in. Before I can do that, I've got to use a little bit of lactic acid, which is over there, like the smallest amount, just to get the pH low enough to get this into its favourable conditions. And then I'm just going to leave this all weekend to go sour, just like this. And the reason we're going to do that, the actual souring process happens in about 24 hours, but we're going to develop some complexity, we're going to develop some flavour, all the stuff that I wanted, and the reason I haven't just used the fully sour is going to happen in those between 48 and 72 hours. So, once the boil's done, once this beer is done, I just walk away. I'm out most of this weekend, I'm just going to leave it. I've checked the forecast. And then on Monday, I'm going to come in, I'm going to boil it from that point onwards like a normal beer. It will just be already sour, and I'll hop it like I want to. I'll put loads and loads and loads and loads of hops in there to get loads of character, get that classic citrus, lemon, lime, lemon pear drop kind of thing from those lemondrop hops, and then ferment it like a normal beer. And hopefully by then, Monday, maybe Tuesday, I'll be able to add the cherry to the other batch as well. But basically, this is it. This is the last step of the day. It's later than I wanted, but it means I can have a beer while I brew, which I generally try not to do. But this was a great excuse. So yeah, sparge up next, and then you're going to see me wrestle with a pH meter. 2 beers, let's be honest, 3 beers deep by that point. So it's not the first time that night has fallen when I've finished brewing, but it is the first time that it's fallen while I've been holding some cling film. So I'll talk about that in a second, but basically I've done my mash, I've done a 10-minute boil, and I've chilled it down to, it's at 40 degrees now. I need it between 38 and 45. Took a bit of a while because usually what comes out of here is about 20-ish, and that goes straight into the fermenter, so it's taken a little while to chill down there, but it's there, hence the lateness of the hour. What happens now is I pitch in my lactic bacteria, Lactobacillus helveticus from Lallemand, and that will start to lower the pH of this to the point where we have a sour. I've already used lactic acid to do that, and I've used my pH meter to give me a guide, but I don't think I calibrated it correctly. So it was jumping all over the place, but it was around about 5 before I added the lactic, and it was around about 4, just over 4, after I'd added 12 ml of lactic. So I'm hoping that I've got that right, and I'll look into doing that better for next time. But I mean, this is uncharted water, right? And that's the name of the beer. I don't know really what I'm doing, which is why I'm waving this around like a feather duster. So my next step is to pitch that in, and then I'm going to cover the whole thing in cling film, stop anything else getting in, and then I'm going to put a lid on, and I'm going to cling film that as well to make doubly sure that nothing else goes in. And that's it till Monday. I just leave it to sour, which is a very strange thing to say, and then I'll carry on as normal. I'll boil it, I'll add all those hops, get all that hoppy complexity, get that real pop of citrus that made that shandy so good at the start of this video, and pray that it works.